I'll do that in the morning. He just needs to send a Friday reminder. I mean, if they have a meeting tonight, you can send out a message Thursday that says, hey, we had a successful meeting last night. If you weren't there, we'll see you Sunday. In person, just so we can be reassured. All right, I'll talk to you later.
No new one thing. I know it's not a new one, but no new ones.
Hey, Chuck, can you hear me?
Okay, stop it. Sorry.
Hey, Chuck, can you hear me?
Hey, girl, go drink somewhere else. That's one of the.
Hey, Chuck, if you could hear me, I can't hear anything right now.
Hey, Chuck.
I could hear somebody.
Bluetooth off. I can see you, Brian.
See you, Chuck. How are you?
I'm good. I can barely hear you.
Huh.
Can you guys hear me?
I have my, let me turn my speaker up. That's probably better.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you now. Max Zimmerman, Mallory Williams. Really have no idea how many people to expect. Did you guys see the agenda?
Really
Yeah,
small.
I could see it.
It's small.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There you go. Better. Thank you.
Really? It's smaller on my end.
Are we all done? No.
I may mute all participants until
Good idea. Good idea.
I've hosted a few meetings, but I haven't hosted a lot. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know if I can mute everybody or not. Participant, fixed participant.
Good
Yeah, I don't-
evening, Bruce.
Hey Jeff, can you hear me?
I'm right here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm not talking to anybody.
Tomorrow's Thursday, isn't it?
So just
Wow.
the four of us so far?
No, Mallory and Chuck Lucan, Max Zimmerman, Danita Hill
Oh, there are some other people. Okay, cool.
might be on your second screen.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to change that.
Yeah, there are different views that you can do. But there are 8 participants right now.
Well, that's good. Hey Brian, did you have any
Yes.
luck with finding anybody on the?
Muskrat?
Yes, thank you.
No. No one's calling me back.
Okay.
I got an idea though. My bug man's due here anytime now. I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
him.
Okay.
That's my plan.
Okay.
How about on the lawn mowing, Bruce? Anybody come back to you?
Chuck and I've got 4 bids now
Oh, good.
for 4 different companies. So I was
Okay.
going to at least, in the meeting now, I was at least just going to say we've got 4 bids of 3 new people and 1 from the original guys that are doing it right now. And we can decide after the meeting or whatever on which we want to
Okay.
go.
All right.
Because there's some significant differences in costs.
Okay.
So
It's surprising.
it really is. It really is. If for some reason my computer is freaking out at the moment about charging, so if my screen suddenly goes dead, it's because my computer's freaked out. So someone will probably want to take over for me until I get it logged back in. I'm charging it right now, but for some reason the cord just keeps like clicking on and off. So it charges and then it stops charging, and then charges and then it stops charging. So
Sounds like
if
you
I go
got-
blank, that's why.
Yeah.
Did you figure out, Chuck, if you can mute everybody as they come in, or do I need to say something when they start coming in?
No, I don't. I don't see that on here.
Okay.
See
It was when you made the actual event that you were able to do that.
Oh, okay. So if he
But
didn't do it then, we
who's the
can't
host
now.
right now?
I am the host because I have the Zoom account, but I can make anybody else the host.
If you want to make me a co-host, I can go ahead and make them mute, and then I can allow them not to unmute unless we say.
That would be great. How do I make
So
it?
like,
Co-host?
you would go down to,
I click on you.
yeah, you can click on me, and you can go make co-host.
Or, well, if I make you the host, I probably can't share my documents. Let's see. There's mute, chat, rename, make host, remove, report, hide. Maybe if I click make host, it will be co-host.
Yeah, because you can do like more than. Okay, so
Is the agenda meeting still, can you guys still view that?
Yes.
I can still see it. Yes.
Yep, I
Good.
can still see it.
Good.
And then, so I will, as soon as everyone gets in, or I'll do it right now so that no one can. And I will mute participants upon entry. There we go. Okay.
So to do that, Stephanie, do you go out to Zoom to do that?
No, you would click on, if you're on full screen, you would
Yeah.
go down to participants, and then you would click that, and there's like 3 buttons at the bottom that says like invite, mute all, and then more. And under more, there's a whole bunch of options. Like if I can, you can be the host again now that I did it. But if you would have to unmute people, say someone has a question or Bruce is talking to someone, you would have to like unmute them.
So I will leave you as a co-host so you can do that.
Okay.
Because when I click on participants, the only option that shows me is invite, which is weird. I would think that I could do more than that, but I've used this about once a month, but I am far from an expert.
It has different options. I'm on it all day long for school, but the school must have like a different kind of thing because it looks a little bit different than what I see every day.
You get Zoom fatigue being on there all day, Stephanie?
Oh yeah. My eyes usually end up hurting
Hmm.
and I wear like the special blue light
Oh, wow.
glasses.
Hmm. We have 15% participants right now.
Okay.
A lot of names and no faces. Whenever you want to start, Bruce, just let me know whatever, what else I can do, or if you want to wait, give people 5 more minutes.
Oh, I muted Bruce. How did I do that? Or did he mute himself? You should have a
There we
thing that-
go.
Now
Okay.
he's unmuted, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I texted or I chatted both of you to see if you could see the text or chat to see what would
Sorry, I
happen.
didn't have
but-
the chat up yet.
every- Okay.
You could probably
Because I was
unmute
just
the
sitting here, I
other
was like, well,
board
I can't
members.
say anything.
You could probably unmute the other board members too.
Yeah, I just asked. So a thing should be popping up.
Oh, great. We've got quite a few people now.
19.
Awesome. All right. Well, Stephanie, let me know when do you have everybody on the board unmuted?
Well, I've hit the button. It just, I request to unmute. So if they don't hit the button,
Oh,
okay, then they won't.
Perfect.
But
Yep, I'm unmuted, so thank you.
Okay. Brian, you're good?
Yes.
Okay, so the only people we're missing right now is Chris and Hinkus, I think, from the board.
Hinkus is on
So
there.
if they show up.
No,
Is
Chris,
Chris on there?
Chris is on.
Here. Mhm.
Okay, good. I got to get a bigger screen. How do I get a bigger screen so I can see more people? Okay. All right, so we're 8 o'clock now, or 7 o'clock, I mean, so let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Yes.
All right. Does anybody feel the need to read through the minutes from last meeting, or can we waive that and move on to the next thing?
Move on.
Okay. They're posted online if anybody wants to see them. And just so everyone knows, currently Taylor was our secretary, which he is no longer on the board at the moment. So we don't have anyone currently taking minutes, but because this meeting is recorded, we will be able to go back and take minutes, and we will post those online as soon as that's done for this year if anybody has any questions. All right, we've already kind of gone through all the board members who's here. We do have a few board positions. 2 people have stepped down from the board, Matt and Taylor. So we have a couple openings. We do have Stephanie and Jeff, who their terms were ending this year, but have decided to stay on. I have received 2 emails from 2 individuals, Ruthie Ma and Courtney Reed, who have shown interest in being on the board. Is there anybody else in attendance tonight that is interested in throwing their name in? If not, because we have 2 positions and we have 2 people interested, I move to unanimously just vote them in, unless there's someone else that wants to be on the board that I haven't heard from.
And if you want to, you can go ahead and put it in the chat and I can unmute you.
If no other If no other people have stepped up, I make a motion for the 2 people that have shown interest to be allowed appointed board members.
Me too. I second that.
Okay, and I'm not seeing them on the list at the moment here of being on the meeting. So Stephanie or Chuck, are you getting any chats from anything?
I am not.
No.
Okay. Okay, well then I move for that. It sounds like we had a second, so we can go ahead and move from there. I did forget to mention, if anybody that's on the meeting right now has any questions during the course of this, if you direct those to either Jeff or Stephanie, and they can get them to whoever needs to answer those questions, that would be great. So since we're muted at the moment, I can't necessarily see everybody and hear everybody. So it's totally okay if you post to everyone too. Max, I just saw your question. The minutes are posted on the website. So they will be listed under the Sylvan Lake HOA website under Chuck, I don't remember, or Jeff, do you remember? I think they're actually
Give me a second, I'll get that link up.
yeah, I don't remember which link they're under, but I know they're right there on that front page. Good question, Max. All right. I'm going to move down to report of the officers. Most seasons.
Have we uploaded
Max,
them? I don't know.
yeah, I think Taylor had 2019s from last year. He may not have. I thought he had put them in, but I guess maybe not. We'll look into that, Max, and get back with you.
2018, 2017s are out there. Yeah, I don't see 2019s, but we can get them out there tomorrow.
Yep, we'll get them out there. President's report, I don't really have necessarily anything major to report. There's a few things I can talk about during committees that I'll get to. Otherwise, as far as President's report, I have nothing new to update. I've got information on the ponds and mowing and stuff like that I'll talk about, like I said, in the committees. Chuck, do you want to do Treasury report?
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Can you guys see the financial statement there?
It is not showing
No.
up.
No, I'm gonna
No.
I'm gonna put you as the host again because I don't know if you can. It's not. Oh, there it is now.
It
You got to blow it up, Chuck.
Literally blow it up.
Blow it up.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Sometimes it's your screen that determines that. I mean, I've got like an 18-inch wide screen and it's all the way across.
You've got an option up top. If you scroll your mouse to the top of the Zoom meeting, you got a view options and you're able to fit to window, 50%, etc., all the way to 300% if needed.
Okay.
There's 200%.
Blow it up, Chuck.
Is that any better for you guys to see?
That's perfect,
Okay.
at least for me.
I keep the books on QuickBooks, an old version of QuickBooks that I've had for 25 years because it works. So if you have some detailed questions, I'll have to look on my version at my office desk. But this is what I present to the board every month, is a budget like September. And I'll go through this quickly and then I will come back and answer any questions or any chat questions that you guys have. But for example, here's October that was just completed recently. The bank is paying a whopping 43 cents worth of interest. The interest that they're paying is like 0.001%, which is pretty standard all across the country now. There's just a lot of cash out there. There are bookkeeping fees that I get paid every month. It's usually $225 every month. And there was an extra $100 for preparing the enforcement and fines document that I spent about 6 hours, 8 hours on. But normally it's $225, so that's what that figure is right there. Depreciation is depreciating the cost of the ponds. That's not cash out. That's just $700 worth of depreciation for 10 years. The insurance expense that we have for the HOA is $69.75. We pay $372 to have chemicals put into the lakes to control algae. Electricity is not cheap, $404 in October, $423 the previous month. You can see the year-to-date column here. The $3,000 over here is what we expect to end the year at, but it should be higher than that now. The utilities usually, the electricity bill usually goes down a little bit when the fountains are shut down, late November, December. So I don't know when that's going to happen. This line item, $2,001, was spent to repair some pumps and some motors to the lakes. We've only spent $2,041 for the years, so it was all very recent. We pay I can't remember his name, but we pay a gentleman to come out once a month to clean up the lakes, to clean everything out so the motors don't burn up. He's paid $250 a month. He has to take a motor in for repair or pick up a motor and bring it back and install the motor on the fountain in the lake. There's an extra fee on there of $40 that he charges. Utilities, more water utility bills that are paid. And our biggest expense is lawn mowing, $1,400 in October, $1,140 the previous month, $8,600 for the year. And I think as Bruce will talk about later, he's got 3 more bids to compare to the company that we're using now. So it's 2021 is right around the corner. I know he's got 4 different companies that he's looking at. 4 or 5 times a year, there's lawn treatment that's put on there. It's $621 in October, $2,300 for the year so far. And there'll probably be another winterization treatment that's put down. So I said our largest expense was the lawn mowing, but it's actually the trash services. $2,990. It just went up in October. And Bruce, I don't know if you want to talk about waste management at this point, or you want me to finish first and then talk about waste management, but the changes that are coming.
It's up to you. I can address that in the committees if you want me to.
Okay. It's expensive, and it's going up a little bit more starting in 2021. But you know, $34,800 is budgeted, so it's expensive. So we make all of our money. We raise our money in January, February when dues are paid, and then every month after that, you know, it's basically $8,000 worth of expenses. $7,200 in October, or actually, yeah, $7,200 worth of expenses. And I like to look in column L there. You can see what October of last year was too. Our expenses were $8,800 in October of last year. So it's nice to be able to compare year to year. And we go all the way down to the bottom, and that's blanked out because I've got it. Let's see if I can widen that column a little. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see. We have $1,060 in the checking, and this was October 31st. $1,060 in the checking account, $48,000 in the money management account. $2,551 is due from one homeowner who has not paid their dues in about 7 years. There is a lien on their house. They do not get their trash picked up, but they refuse to pay their dues. They did this once before, about 6 years ago, and then they declared bankruptcy. And so the HOA lost money about 6 years ago, and I won't be surprised. I think you can declare bankruptcy once every 7 years or something. Anyway, there's a lien on their property, so they cannot refinance their house. They cannot sell their house until paying us, I think it's 6 years worth of HOA dues. We have other prepaid expenses. That was $74,000 was the money that was spent on the ponds. We have assets of $127,000. At the end of the month, we owed money for lawn mowing, and we owed money for waste management. That's basically what this is. So I like to look at what our reserve is. Basically $69,000 at the end of October. That's basically our net worth. And again, just keep in mind that in November and December, we're going to have more expenses that are roughly $7,000 each month. The budget is pretty fluid, but I try to keep track of the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, we had $37,000 in equity because we spent a lot of money on the lakes last year. We've lost $4,500, and again, that's going to go up by $7,000 for November, December. Actually, this is what's budgeted. So we should end the year with $33,000 in equity. Our informal goal has always been to try to have half of our dues saved in a reserve for unexpected things at the end of the year. This is probably the lowest it's been in 10 years. But it was nice last year that the special assessment was small because we had a nice reserve. Jump back up. I'm almost done here. At the top, we collect about $66,000 in dues every year. And our reserve is going to be about half of that. So we're actually right on target. We like to keep half of the dues amount in reserve for unexpected expenses. So if you have questions about the financials, you can certainly email me later, or you can chat them now. I will send this out with the HOA dues notice at the end of December, so you can look at where we are at the end of November. The financials will be done before those are sent out. So those will come out that you can take a look at closer, and you can always email me also. And if you don't know my email, it's the one I prefer to use is slha.treasurer@gmail.com. So Sylvan Lake Homes Association, slha.treasurer@gmail.com.
That's on the website too, isn't it, Chuck?
Yes.
So they can find you there as well.
And if there's a contact us on the website, I think that comes to me, and then I send it out to the board.
Yep.
Too. All right, Bruce, I'm done.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. Run to report of committees, so I'll just go in order. Architectural, Jeff and Stephanie, do you have anything to
No.
talk about report-wise?
As far as the architectural side, we've I want to say for 2020, I received between 4 and 5 architectural requests. So the architectural request is still up on the website. Anything that requires a permit, like a fence or even a deck, needs to have an architectural request sent up to the board. And then one of the main things that we do is check to make sure if there is a permit required, and before any approval is given, there has to be an approved Overland Park permit on file, and anybody's able to go and look and see if the permit's been submitted or not. As far as that's all I got. Stephanie, do you have anything to add?
Nope, you said it all.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear if you said, but the architectural form is on the website, so
Yes,
people
sir.
can get that easily there, as well as the update to the covenants and restrictions, enforcement and fines document we will be releasing, or I think it's already released, isn't it, Chuck?
Yes, it's on the website.
Okay, so do you want to talk about that real quick, Jeff?
That's what basically that is it it supplements the CNRs, and so it covers, for example, trash cans. Per the Overland Park rules, trash cans are supposed to be not visible from the front street. One of those is in. I'm sorry. That item is in the amendment. Other items include having items done. Let's say deck, fence, structural stuff to the house being done without architectural request being sent up. That part is also covered on the updated CNRs. So it's a good idea to review what is covered under the fines and restrictions.
That's showing up as shared now?
Yes.
Okay. There's an email address for people to email their requests. And this document will also go out at the end of the year with the dues notice, so everybody will have a copy of this.
Art, I see your question.
I'm
sorry.
I was typing up a message as well.
Oh,
I
okay,
already
perfect.
sent him too. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Some of them are coming privately too, so I'm answering some of them.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so you're good there.
Did you see
Normally I would ask
Mallory's
this-
question? I don't know this one. Was it submitted to the city as an amendment? Do we need, I don't know that answer.
Was what submitted?
I'm thinking she's asking about the fines and enforcement and fines document.
The city doesn't need it. It could be filed at the county courthouse. It probably should be.
Yep.
Just-
Which we're not enacting it until the January 1st, 2021. So we'll probably get that to them before then, so we have it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, Jeff, Stephanie, you guys are good?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. All right, so normally I would ask for social chair, but currently we do not have anyone in the social chair. So again, I'm going to put the old call to arms. If anybody's interested in volunteering or helping out with the social chair, that would be fantastic. Because right now we have no one, and generally throughout the year pre-COVID, we had the Easter egg hunt and garage sale and some other odds and ends throughout the year that we haven't been able to plan with no one there.
Hey, can I speak on that for a second?
Of course.
I did pose that question because normally we do the Easter egg hunt, we do the 4th of July parade, and we also have our end of summer get together, and all of those funds are going to be rolled into 2021. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And so depending on county restrictions and whatnot will determine. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have an Easter egg hunt. So we just have to play by ear based on current restrictions from the county and the state.
Yes, perfect.
Bruce, Mallory has a question about anything that is currently not to code will not be able to be fined in the future.
I'm guessing she's asking about something being grandfathered in. It's a tough question because we're trying to figure out. Some people have posed some questions and asked about certain houses. that have been brought up because they either didn't get a architectural request, permission, or a permit or something else. So we are working with the city currently on those particular items. But Mallory, I don't have a great answer for that right now, and we'll look into that otherwise because
If homeowners, Bruce, if homeowners are not aware of the fines and the fines were not even in place, you can't
Right.
fine them.
right, and that's why we're trying to enact this particular document so that in 2021 we are able to make that architectural request more ability to be able to say, hey, these things need to happen, and here's what the consequences if you don't do that. So, okay. Is there any other questions, Stephanie, at the moment that I can
Well,
answer?
there is. So now that I'm not a host, I can't chat privately anymore that I was answering some questions. So we have a few questions that are solar panels restricted? So I don't know.
They are in the covenants and restrictions, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we have is board approval required for a fence or deck replacement or just a new structure? And I was replying to him saying that, yeah, for anything new or replacing, you do need board approval.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And check to see if you need a permit.
By the Overland Park rules, anything 50% or over being replaced is considered a full replacement. So in turn, needing an active permit, as well as approval from the city as well as the board.
And then we have, why isn't it all up to the city? Trash cans aren't architectural.
They can find you.
I mean, some HOAs just have those rules, so you get double fined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a host again, Stephanie?
Okay, thanks.
Well, you'll be able to find people now going forward because you've notified them that these fines are in place. Everyone will receive a copy of that. Plus, it was a very good comment, I think, Mallory, that it does need to be a part of our documents at the courthouse. So when someone buys a home, they will get a copy of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there won't be anybody who can say, well, I wasn't aware.
Mallory, I don't know if your question got answered. I'm sorry. But if it didn't, let me know or ask another question we can try and answer. Two more just popped up real quick that I'll answer, and then I'm going to jump down to landscape chair. And Lily, if you have anything you want to add on landscape chair, let Stephanie know. Chuck asked, when did OP allow 8-foot fences? OP has always allowed an 8-foot fence. It's just most people do not put in 8-foot fences because of cost. Normally it's a 6-foot standard privacy fence, but OP does allow 8-foot. Doug, currently in the covenants and restrictions, solar panels are not allowed in the HOA. And was Vic's question answered? Stephanie, do you mind looking back at Vic's question?
Yeah, it was about when are we voting on this document, which I was saying that we're not voting. It doesn't need to be voted on.
Yes. Yeah, that was a
board.
board.
Comments. The board will take comments, constructive comments, things that maybe you'd like to see added. You just submit those to the board and they can take that under advisement.
Yep, and we'd be happy to take any comments or questions you have on that. So,
and if anyone wants to, sorry, Bruce, if anyone wants to like ask a question and not type it, there's a hand raise button that you can do, and I can unmute you so that you can actually like talk, and I can unmute you and you can ask your question. And
I have a question that's brought up. So so I understand these are all pertaining to the homeowners. How do the CNRs affect renters?
How did they get notified?
How do the renters get notified?
Just through the homeowners?
Renters get, go ahead, Chuck.
Renters don't, the owners do.
Okay, so
It's incumbent on the owner to tell their renters that they can or cannot do
okay.
certain things, because the owner is going to get the fine, not
Yes.
the renter.
Yep. Okay. No, I just wanted to ask that question.
Oh, good question. That's a good question.
Okay. And again, everybody that's present and here, thank you so much for, being here. This is kind of a crazy meeting because we're trying to do all this on Zoom. So thank you for your patience and being willing to do this. Hopefully we can get to everybody's questions and answers and all of that.
There's another
There
good
is a-
question out here.
Yes, can I unmute them?
Yes.
Okay, you should have a thing pop up. There we go.
I'm a low volume.
Who's the question, Stephanie?
Doug, if you have,
Okay.
you can ask your
Yes.
question.
Yeah, I just want to ask, is there appetite, or is there a process or something that we could review the solar panel covenants restriction? I mean, I don't have a plan to put anything in the close future, but I feel that in the next 5 to 10 years, it may become a thing. I'm just trying to foresee possibilities. I have no clue how this works, and I'm sorry. But I would like to have an idea. I mean, is this something that the community would agree and review in the close future?
Doug, that's a great question. And I definitely don't disagree with you that I think solar and wind and other alternative energy sources are going to become a thing that we are going to be seeing more and more prevalently. To answer your question, simply, yes, we can talk about it. We can review it. However, in order for us to change anything in the bylaws and covenants and restrictions, we would have to have a quorum, meaning that we would have to have, what is it, Chuck, more than 50% of the homeowners present to be able to make that happen. And we've had a really tough time trying to get a group that large together. And so at the moment, we're trying to update the CNRs. We're trying to change some things in the rules to make them more current, because they're 35 plus years old. And there's stuff in there like satellite dishes. Who has a satellite dish on their house anymore, right? So there's items like that that need to be taken out and changed and updated. And it's just a matter of us getting enough of the homeowners on board to be able to do something like that. So,
And
I don't know
Bruce,
if that is, yes.
one of the other homes associations that I work with, they went door to door with a proposal, and they actually had people vote. And there were only 72 homes, or 74 homes. There weren't 206 like Sylvan Lake has. But it still took about 5 hours, and there were two groups of people. I was with one of the board members, and then two other people went around, and there was a proposal to change the bylaws to allow for 8-foot fences. And so we knew we couldn't get everybody together for a quorum, so we just went house to house. It was a lot of work. And then if people are not home, it's a problem. But it worked. We got 99% of the people to vote. I think there was only one house that wasn't home. We had told them in advance that we were coming. So Bruce, that's one way. If the board has 1 or 2 or 3 things that they want to change in the bylaws, and they can put that into some kind of document, let all the homeowners know that they're going to be coming around on a certain date for your vote. That's one way to do it.
So I did want to address something that I keep seeing on the chat. Most of this stuff has already been rules. We're just going to start enforcing them. So we voted as a board to start enforcing these things, and we needed an extra document in there, and we wanted our neighborhood to look as nice as it can be, because lately people have been not making it look nice. So the board voted on it. It'll be up so you can see it. And yeah, and I do have one person that has a question. Jill wanted to ask a question, so I'm going to unmute her if I can find her on here. There she is. Go ahead, Jill.
Okay. I just came in at the end of the meeting. I was coming from soccer practice, so I just caught the very end, and I heard Easter egg hunt and 4th of July parade, and I didn't know what the beginning of that conversation was, and I apologize for having you to go
Hey,
back.
Joe, what I was talking about was the funds that are normally allocated for like the Easter egg hunt, the 4th of July parade, the end of summer get together. All those
Yes.
are being, excuse me. All those are being carried over to 2021.
Oh, okay, perfect. And I have all the Easter eggs if anybody wants to. They're all sitting in my basement. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jill.
I would answer one other question I see from Vic, that we can't not arbitrarily make up rules. There's nothing in the fine schedule that's arbitrarily made up. We're just like Stephanie said, we're enforcing the rules that are already in the covenants and restrictions. Rather than just writing a letter to a homeowner and saying, your trash cans are not allowed where they are. I mean, now you can fine them if they don't take care of them. So that document doesn't contain any new rules.
Exactly. And most HOAs have this too. So it's not like a new thing.
Yes, and it's more or less just to be able to give us the ability to enforce the rules that are already in place. So we're not changing anything at this point. We're just wanting, like Stephanie and Chuck both said, we're just trying to make it so that we are able to bring the homeowners or the subdivision back to where we want it to be, or where we all think it should be. So with that, I'm not trying to cut anybody off, and if there's questions, Stephanie, stop me. But I'm going to go ahead and jump down to landscape real quick, because I'm sure are going to be a few questions about all of that. As Chuck said earlier, I'm sorry for all the noise in my background with my kids. As Chuck had said earlier, we have been talking to several different landscape companies, mowing companies, to take over. The company we've got now has given us a bid for 2021, as well as 3 others. So the board is looking at those and going to make a determination for 2021 where we need to go there. So at least you guys know on that. We have also been in contact with a couple of people regarding the ponds. I know everybody is, I'm sure, have questions about it. I actually met with a company this afternoon, to discuss the ponds and trying to figure out where we are with that and what our options are. We have 2 options currently that we are pursuing, and I can update everyone as we get a little further down the road with that. I've also got phone calls into the city regarding the pond and the runoffs as well, because I feel like that's going to be a bit of a question we're going to want to answer. So that is where I'm at with the ponds right now. There was a question posed to me email earlier before the meeting from Wendell, asking about one of the pond fountains. If I remember right, Wendell, I'm sorry if I didn't answer this question. But to answer that question, the fountain was going to get turned on earlier in the season. However, we had a wire issue from Tyler. He had found that there was something wrong with one of the wires, and so we did not put that fountain in yet until we had the updated wire. We just received that last month, and he and I both felt there was no point to spend the money to have Tyler go out, put the fountain in, just to remove it a few weeks later for winter. So that's why we don't have a fountain in the pond 2, I believe, at the moment. So Wendell, I hope that answers your question on that. I think that is it. The signs, update on the signs real quick, and then I can move on if there's no major questions on that. we are still working on signs. I've been in contact with the city. We have all of the directions and things we need from their standpoint and what we have to do. And I have been working with Brian and myself trying to reach out to get a hold of companies to give us bids on just getting a new sign. And it is crazy busy and no one seems to want the work at the moment. So again, if any of you have any suggestions or know of any companies that do sign work, please email me or Chuck or Brian so that we can get in touch with them, because we would love to get this sign taken care of and sorted out. And right now the biggest hurdle is just finding someone to do the work. We have a proposed plan. The board has already kind of looked at that. We're trying to get bids as to that, and we can post those once we know what we're moving forward with. Stephanie, has there been any questions while I'm rambling?
Someone asked, if we can't get a new sign, is it worth just repainting them? We can get a new sign. We're just looking for someone to do what we want.
And I'm going to say, as a contractor, that no, the signs can't be replaced. Most of them are rotting out quite a bit. The bottoms are about done, and those signs have seen better days, unfortunately. So no, we will have to replace them and do something new.
And then it says, can you share the plans you have for the signs?
Yes. I will scan those and get those out. We'll try and put those on the website. Jeff or Chuck? I don't think, is Ken here? Is Ken on? He's doing those. So we'll yes, the simple answer is yes. We'll try and post those so everyone can kind of see the proposed plan at the moment.
So Bruce, there's been a couple of questions about making payments for the dues, whether online or Venmo or Zelle or PayPal. And I just responded to everyone because there have been several questions. I will get something to the board here in the next week of ways to do that. I do that for other organizations. And I'll be honest with you, here's the tricky thing. My phone has a particular phone number associated with it. So I have Kansas Sports Officials Association, and it's 600 members set up with PayPal and Venmo. So I cannot set up Sylvan Lake on my phone. It's unfortunate, but they only allow one account per phone number. So the other idea is to get a phone for $200 a year. But do we want to do that? It might cost $200 to add a phone to my plan, like $20 a month. About the cheapest phone I can get. Does the board want to do that? I don't know, but it's been talked about. It hasn't been turned down. It hasn't been decided yet, but I know everybody wants that. I would prefer that if people want to pay. I even have a Square account that people wanted to pay with their credit card or debit card. They could call and do that. There are small fees, sometimes 3% fees associated with that. So if your dues, for example, were $350 next year, maybe you're going to pay $360 if you do it electronically. I don't know how many people would want to pay the $10 fee just for that convenience, but there is a charge to the association, a fee. So it'll be interesting to see if people want to pay the $10 or whatever the 3% works out to be, 3.5%. So, but I can make a proposal to the board here in the next couple of weeks and get that figured out.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think it's just a question of if that's the path everyone wants to go with for a fee on there. So, all right. Thank you, Chuck. Stephanie, I'm going to move on unless there's any other questions at the moment.
Yep. Nope, we're good.
Okay. It's 8:40 or no, 7:45. The only things left really would be if anybody has any other open questions at the moment or would like to say something. We can move to that that part of the meeting, and otherwise, if there's nothing else, then at that point, after we're done with that, we can look to start closing down. So
Bruce, did you talk about the changes for waste management? Is that what you're saying?
Thank you, Chuck. Yes, no, I did not. Okay, so Chuck and I received an email today from Waste Management regarding 2021, and basically what we're looking at. Let me pull it up here. What we're looking at from them is an increase for the overall. So what they've given us is an email saying the beginning of December 1st, which crazy is just a few weeks away, they will start coming around and exchanging all of our recycle bins from a 64 gallon to a 95 gallon recycle bin. And what that's going to do is they are going to then start collecting recycling only every other week. So twice a month instead of 4 times a month, which that will take effect January of this upcoming year. So there is going to be, there is going to be a price increase with that because in their email, the response to that is basically because there are more people at home, more trash and recyclables are being used, which means more has to be gone through. So the prices are kind of filtering down to us. So what that means is, minimal cost spread out throughout the HOA. But I just want everyone to know that's on the meeting at the moment to be aware that most likely within the next few weeks, they will be coming by to swap out trash cans, and then you will only have recycling on every other week. And I don't know what that schedule will be yet.
Bruce, what size did you say that they were?
95 gallon.
95 gallon. That was the question.
Currently, they're a 64 gallon, and they'll go up to a 95.
We also have a question of, did we get another bid for trash?
That's one of the questions the board, I was going to talk to the board because we literally just got this email today. I was going to bring that up to the board to see if we want to do that. There was a question Chuck and I got posed a week or so ago about, my mind went blank, Chuck. What is
bulk
it called?
items?
Bulk items pickup. And currently we do not have any bulk item pickup here in Sylvan Lake unless you call Waste Management for a specific pickup, which we can look into that if we decide to go to a different company. But I know that it will raise the cost, not an insignificant amount, if we do that to a once a month or twice a month or something. So, but that is a question we need to talk about as a board to find out if we want to start pursuing another company.
Yes, and we are getting comments like larger cans are going to be more difficult to store. I completely agree with you. I don't know how big a 95 gallon is compared to, like, I don't know how taller or wider, how it's going to be, but yes, we get that. And I don't know, we'll talk as a board to see what we need
It
to
should
do.
just be a little bit fatter of a bin.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a decent size bigger, but not huge. So storing it will be different because it'll be a different size than the trash bin. So, all right.
Also, we have Mallory said that last year she had talked about the HOA submitting the ash trees and the dead ash trees in the common ground area for OP cares, and none of them are listed as trees to be taken out.
So Mallory, I have talked to the city. City has an arborist, and I have Bailey Peterson, I believe is her name, if I remember right. I've been in contact several times with her after that meeting last year, and I did submit our trees. However, the city has been so backlogged with those that she said they would be coming out to examine the trees and then put them into one of 3 categories, basically saying whether it needs to be removed immediately, whether it can wait a few months or 6 months, or wait a year, and then they will put it on the list from there. So you're right, I have not contacted her as of recently, but I do know that about 6 months ago, I did reach out to her, and they were so backed up because they were sending all their crews out since they weren't doing anything else due to COVID they could all run around and cut trees down and plant trees and stuff like that. So they were so backed up with that I didn't press the issue any further. But it should be on the list, as far as I know, for those being checked out so that they can be potentially removed as soon as the city gets to them. So thank you, Mallory, for reminding me on that. Now I will check into that. All right. Stephanie, I don't know how we want to open it up for anyone that has any other questions, if they want to raise their hand.
If they want to raise their hand, we can just unmute them and they can go ahead and speak. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I see Mike has a question. I'm scrolling through the video, so.
Chuck had another question too. Maybe it was answered, but who is responsible for maintenance and potential replacement of dangerous crumbling sidewalks?
Oh, that's a great question.
The sidewalks are owned by the city.
I believe that is going to be a City of Overland Park thing.
Yep. That would be, Chuck, basically you just have to call the city and tell them that you're having issues with the sidewalk and they'll come out.
Or you
and
could
again,
also
of course,
do an OP
assess it. What's that?
You could also do an OP cares
Yes.
on that.
Yep. Stephanie, did you see Mike? He had his hand up.
Oh, sorry. I was looking for the actual, here you go.
I know. I was just scrolling through and I saw him raising his hand there, so.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm Mike Padgett. I live at Dearborn Street, 15816 Dearborn Street at the end of a cul-de-sac. And our home is adjacent to 159th Street. My neighbor, Art Dustin, and Art is on this on the call as well tonight. Art and I have been talking to our city council person and Overland Park officials about the unexpected road noise that seems to have occurred as a result of the expansion of 159th Street. We've had many meetings, very pleasant meetings, but no decision about the city actually recognizing that we seem to have a noise issue. So Art and I are right up against 159th Street, and what we think has been an unexpected problem from the expansion of 159th Street is what we are calling the acceleration zone between the two roundabouts. If people are going a constant 45 miles an hour, it's not so much of a noise issue, except for those occasional motorcycles that are a noise issue anywhere. But people seem to come around the roundabout and then accelerate, and it's so disruptive that during warm weather, when we're outside, we can't talk, we can't carry on conversations. So, Art, do you want to add anything to this comment?
Am I muted?
Nope.
Okay. Well, as Mike said, we've reached out to our council member. We've also been in contact with city engineers and with the Kansas Department of Transportation. And we've, as Mike indicated, we've been hitting some walls. But one of the things that we have talked about is sending out a questionnaire survey to residents, especially those along 159th or near 159th, to gather information as to how their lives have been impacted by these roundabouts and the resulting noise. We've measured now, obviously not with a calibrated decimal meter, but we've measured noise levels in excess of 90 decibels. And that's pretty high. So some of the homes along this stretch of 159th are only about 50 feet from the roadway. So as Mike indicated, the noise is excessive and very it interrupts a lot of outdoor activities. So we're going to reach out to everyone. Bruce has indicated that he'd be willing to send out a survey via email so we could gather some information. And we've talked about whether that should just be to those homeowners along 159th, or whether we should extend it to the whole community, because we know that there are some people we've talked to that are as much as a quarter mile off 159th that indicate that it's a problem. So those are my comments, Mike. If there's anything else you'd like to add.
I would just comment that we've had Bailey Patterson come out, the city arborist, extremely professional. She got back with us with information, and the bottom line is you've got to have about 50 feet of space to plant heavily in order to buffer sound, and none of us have that. What we have learned is a solid fence is about the only thing that will buffer that sound. And the fences that we have are not solid at all. Sound shoots right underneath them and between all the boards. We've met with Chris Newland, one of our council people, twice. Most recently, a week and a half ago, Art?
Yes, about that.
And they've also put us in touch with the Kansas Department of Transportation. They've got data from before they expanded the roadway, but we just think that the data does not really reflect real life situations. So we've been trying to see if they would actually park one of their calibrated sound meters in our yards to really gather some new data. That's kind of a pending thing. Chris Newland has said that he's going to contact one of our state legislators to see if they can get a little bit of oomph coming that way. But one of the things that Art and I have wondered, I mean, we haven't been holding this discussion just for ourselves. We've been thinking that others may have a concern as well, but we've been sort of plowing the ground initially to kind of see what might be a direction we would take. I got a chat from somebody a few minutes ago, and let's see, the Schutzlers. Schutzlers. Okay, thank you.
Jill is her name.
Okay, thank you. And I just put my email address in there. If anybody would like to just contact me, and Art and I will sort of wrap you into some of the conversations that we're having. But we are thinking about putting a survey out just to see how big of an issue this is. And obviously, if it's big enough, it would get a little more attention from city officials.
Yeah.
And by the way, Bruce has been with us in this too. He has sat in our backyard and listened to, he was at our first meeting with Chris Newland, and Art has been doing most of our emailing, and he's, we've kept Bruce in the loop, so he knows that we've been exploring this.
Yeah, and Art and Mike, thank you guys so much for keeping me up to date on that. I'm sorry, as of most recently, I haven't been able to make the couple of meetings recently. It's been a bit of a crazy time. I'm sure everybody's the same boat, but thank you guys for keeping me up and dated on that. And I mean, just let me know how we can help in that area, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, appreciate that, Bruce. And Jill, I appreciate your comments, because I'm sure that everyone along this stretch feels the same pain.
I don't back up to either 159th or Null, but I can hear road noise in my house. And so I'm sure being right up on the road, it's way more annoying and loud. And I did see someone else that had posted on there that they back up to Null, and it's no different as well, that it's just as loud, people driving up and down Null. So just let me know how we can help, and if you guys need anything else from us at the moment.
Okay.
I also,
I just want to correct one thing. I said something wrong earlier in regard to solar panels. I was just looking at the covenant and restrictions, and I think, Bruce, you already mentioned that the outside antennas and satellite receivers are prohibited. But of course, solar panels, I don't see solar panels being restricted at all. I mean, again, this document's 35 years old, so I doubt they would have solar panels restrictions in there. I don't see them in there, so whoever asked that question earlier.
Doug did, and he just raised his hand. I will.
That's a good catch, Chuck. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I asked again, are we sure? Because I saw something about solar panels, but more related to you need to file an architecture request, which makes total sense. But I moved only a year and a half ago, and I came from another subdivision, which solar panels were expressively restricted, and they had to change that. So I know the huddle to change it, how difficult it is. I was even going to offer my help if it was restricted. If anybody in the next couple years wanted to change it, I would offer my help. But in this case, since it's not, okay, we're good to go. I mean, it's just obvious that we need to file some architectural request. It needs to be something that needs to have, a technical supervision. Otherwise, we may end up in a bad situation in some of the homes, right? I've seen some crazy solar panel ideas. But if it is the regular that you're seeing around this time, where the solar panel are very close to the shingles, they follow the architecture of the roof and all that, we're good.
So again, there's a lot in these old documents. It does say under section 13, solar collectors prohibited without consent. So they're only prohibited, like you've already said very well, that if the board wants to approve them, they can approve them if people go through the right process. But it does say under section 13, solar collector panels must be approved by the board.
And I wanted to address a question. Someone had asked about how do you handle renters who aren't technically paying into the HOA. We've had a problem with this for a long time. I personally have had many issues. I'm surrounded by renters, or I have a few renters. We just contact the owner and they would get fined, and hopefully they would fine the renters. And I see that you're having a problem with a dog, which I had the exact same problem, and animal control was no help at all. And I just had to wait it out and have them move. I mean, I don't know what else we can do about a dog. But I know it's a horrible situation because I've been in that situation for a few years, so.
I also was scrolling through the chat. I don't know if anyone answered. Tyler Kincaid posed a question, and I wanted to just at least give a quick comment, Tyler. I can completely understand the frustration on that because the sign and the pond repair has taken an extremely long time. I just wanted to speak on that quickly as president, that the pond and the signage, when I took over midstream last year, the year before, were kind of thrown at me. And so with us trying to work through all those, it's just been a long process of trying to get those figured out. And I am sorry that it's taken so long to get to this point, but we are actively getting those things, trying to get those moved forward. And COVID's not really helping at the moment. I'm not trying to pass the buck or the blame, but I just at least wanted you to know that I saw your question, and I am actively trying to get that done. The biggest thing is just the ability to do all the things that the board needs to do. And with everybody so busy, it's tough to get that. So more help from more homeowners and more people in the HOA make things a lot easier. So if people want to help and volunteer for different things, I will take all the help I can get. I'm not too shy to ask for help. But in that particular case with the signage and the pond, I am actively working on those, and I'm still trying to play catch up from previous presidents where once they left, I was trying to pick up the pieces and figure it out. So again, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I at least wanted to talk on that question real quick, Tyler. So thank you for the question. Let's see. Is there any other questions or anybody else's hand, Stephanie, that's going up at the moment?
I don't. Doug has asked what is needed on the pond. Sorry, I don't know what the issues are.
Say that again, you broke up.
He wants to know what the issues are on the ponds. He doesn't know.
Who does? I'm sorry.
Doug.
Doug. Doug, the pond number 2, I believe it is, the one on the west side of Woodson, has a leak. We are actively assessing what the leak is from. We do not know if it's ground leakage or if it's coming from the concrete box that is our drainage that drains into the other pond. We've had several people raise questions about it. I am again actively working with a company currently right now to find out what the concrete box, the drainage spillway, what it would take to repair it. If that's where the leak is coming from, we're also working to try and find out if it's draining out of the bottom of the lake or pond, what we need to do. There's also a question posed where the city, their runoffs from the street, those could be potential possibility as well. So that's why I've reached out to the city to find out what we need to do there. So we have several things that could be culprits to the ponds leaking. And at the moment, that's what we're trying to assess. And we're trying to do that in a financially smart way as well, instead of just going about shooting things off to try and figure it out. So that's, I don't know if that answers your question, Doug. I'm sorry, but hopefully that does.
Since we talked
Any other
about
questions? What,
about
Chuck?
renters earlier, I will just let everybody know my records show we have about 24 renters of the 206 homes in the HOA. For whatever that's worth, I mean, it's been pretty steady. That number, it seems to be one more every year, but just so you know.
All right. It's a few minutes after 8. If anybody else has any questions or comments or anything else.
Mike had said, which pond is leaking? Didn't they all get fixed or repaired last year?
So ponds 1 and ponds 2, the smaller ponds, the one that is, the 2 that border 159th are the ponds that we had dredged, not this most recent summer, but the previous summer. And those were basically we did maintenance on those ponds to dig them a little bit deeper. The other 2 ponds, Chuck, remind me, I think they were 7 years ago they got dredged, maybe even a little bit longer than that.
I think
which is why 10 years. Okay. So that's why we didn't do all 4 last year. We just did the 2 that did not get dredged before. And so that was the maintenance that was done. However, now, like I said, there's a leak somewhere. At this point, I don't suspect that it was necessarily the dredge that was done. I think that it's a few other culminations. The concrete spillway, again, is 35 years old. At some point, it's going to start to break down. It's going to have some issues. And we're definitely going to have to start talking about repairs and maintenance on that at some point. Just putting it out there, at some point, we'll probably need to do a special assessment or something to make that repair. As well as the pond is just a big, giant bowl of mud, and at some point it will start to leak, and so we do need to do maintenance on that, and that is one of the options that I'm looking at. There's a product called Stephanie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's bentonite. Is a product that gets thrown into the ponds. It's completely safe for fish and wildlife and all that, but what it does is it helps solidify and seal up the base of the pond. And so that's one of the options I'm looking at right now. It's one of our most cost-effective options if the pond is leaking from the silt bottom.
Yes, that's right.
Tyler posed a question, Stephanie, I think, was the dredging successful last year? Yes, I mean they did what we paid them to do. They dug out the dredge, or they dredged the bottom of the pond, which made it deeper, which is what we had to do because silt was starting to make those 2 ponds pretty shallow. So yes, I guess is the simple answer, Tyler.
I also have a question of how much are dues for 2021?
So we're planning on keeping them at 350. We've talked about potentially as a board, we may decide to raise those, but at the moment, 350 is, I believe, where we are. Chuck?
They were 325 last year. They had been 375 for about 6 years in a row. And then they've been 325, I want to say, last year and the year before. But 350 has been what the board is leaning toward right now, 350.
All right. Any last questions?
That my last question was about dues.
Okay.
So I don't see any other, unless anyone has to raise their hand or.
Looking through the video here.
Hey, Bruce, did somebody ask you the estimated cost on the new sign out front? Because you said 8,000 probably wouldn't cover it.
No, no one brought that up. But in the three, there's so many people I've called this year on that sign. In the three companies that have actually been interested in coming and meeting with me and talking to me, only one gave me numbers, and he is supposed to email those to me. But he is saying it will be more than 8,000 for the signs. So, and that the conversation at the moment is, do we go back with 2 signs or do we do a single sign? Because since the city has taken the left turn into the subdivision away, that the east side of the road sign is not really visible by anyone that would be coming into our subdivision. And so the question was posed if we need that sign anymore. So that is an option we're talking about right now to hopefully help bring down the overall cost, but even one sign could still be that cost. So.
We also have, how can someone find out who the owner is in regards to the dog question? Isn't that Chuck has a list of that he can email the owner if you have an issue? Is that correct, Chuck?
Yes, and actually you can find it on the county's website. You can find the owner of every single home on the Johnson County website. But I have
they don't necessarily have the information, right? Like an email or
correct.
a phone number.
I have emails for most of them.
Okay.
So yes, you can email me or anybody on the board, and then they'll ask me. But I've got. Not everybody has given me their email address. Every year I ask for it when I send out the dues notice, and I get a good response. I think I have. I mean, again, if there are 2 people in the house, I might have 240 different email addresses. But I know there are at least 50 homes that I don't have an email address at all. So it's their choice. If they don't want to give me an email, they're not getting notified of meetings like tonight. But I can't force them to give me an email. But I do have quite a few.
And Tyler also wanted to know, do minutes from last year's meeting need to be approved tonight? It will be posted tomorrow. They don't need to be approved.
No, the call earlier was more just to, if we wanted to read those or waive reading those tonight, so we could get to the rest of the meeting.
You can make a motion to approve if you want.
Yeah. And yeah, we will do. Chuck, are you posting those tomorrow, or posting tonight's minutes or the video, and then we'll try and get those written down?
Yeah, that'll take a little while. It's a long meeting, a lot of notes.
Yeah, yeah, we won't be able to get all of it posted tomorrow as far as like
oh no, it won't be tomorrow.
Down, but we could theoretically post a video.
But no, he's talking about the last year's minutes. Yes, the last year's minutes will be put on tomorrow because we have those. Yes.
Yes.
If I can get a hold of
Taylor.
No, not Taylor. The website, the web host guy.
Oh, Ken.
Ken, yeah. And
Is he on?
I don't see him.
Okay.
I haven't seen him on here, but he responded immediately the other day.
Okay.
So, yes, hopefully Ken will respond tomorrow. And if I don't have the minutes to give Ken, I'll call you, Bruce.
Okay, thank you. So yes, Tyler, we will work to get those posted tomorrow for 2019.
Stephanie, do you know the recording of the Zoom meeting? Can you make that public? Could it be put on our website?
Yes, it can. You'll have to upload it to YouTube, and then you can put a link from like on our website to view it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's over an hour, right? Yeah, we've been doing this for over an hour, so it'll save to whoever's record. Chuck, are you recording this?
Yes.
So it'll go to your computer, and then you can upload it to YouTube, and then everyone will be able to view it.
You got that, Chuck? All right.
If you have questions, you can email me and ask me, because I have to do it a lot. So
I have a Dropbox account, so I know it's probably going to be a large file. So, but I have a Dropbox account.
if it will go in the Dropbox, I just thought over an hour. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you an email if I have trouble tomorrow.
Okay.
I've never uploaded anything to YouTube, but I know people who have. Or yeah, to YouTube. I don't post anything on YouTube.
Okay. No other questions or anything else from anybody? Does anyone want to motion for ending the meeting?
I motion to end the meeting.
I second that.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being patient with us as we've talked through everything. If anybody has any questions or anything that maybe didn't get reached out or put on the chat, please reach out to Chuck or Stephanie, Jeff, or myself. Chris.
We also have a Facebook.
Yep.
We also have it on Facebook, and you can ask questions through Facebook as well.
Yep. So thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for your patience and being willing to talk with us and reach out. So thank you so much. Have a good rest of your evening, and we will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks, Chuck.
My pleasure. There were some really good questions.
Yeah, they were great questions. And I feel like we had a really big turnout too, which was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if we got over 26, but that's nice.
Yeah, I think at one point I saw 26 or so that's good. I think that's all we need for tonight though, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, you guys haven't officially voted on 350, but you can $350 for dues next year. We should be fine with that because I don't know if unless that entrance sign costs $25,000. I mean,
no, I
wouldn't think
I
that
think
it costs that much.
I'm guessing right now that we're probably looking, if we just do the one sign on the west side of the street, I'm guessing by the time you figure the removal of what's existing, replacement, new landscape bed, stone, sign, all of that stuff that's in there, I'm guessing we're 10 to 12 by the time we remove all the existing, put in the new. If we're talking both sides, then we could be 20, but I don't know yet. I'm waiting to hear from Dylan and from a couple other guys.
So there's enough money in the reserve account to cover that.
Yeah, my only fear though is I want to make sure that we're being cognizant of that concrete spillway in the ponds, because right now the pond is low enough. I literally walked out to that spillway today and could climb in, and there is a small pinhole that's currently leaking. I mean, it is such a small amount of water coming out of this thing, but it's leaking, right? So if there's one hole, there's bound to be more in the coming years, and it's 30 plus years old. So that's going to be one of those things where I'm afraid we're going to get hit with some sort of unexpected cost on that down the road.
So wait, there's another, it's leaking from the spillway?
It's a small pinhole. I mean, if you walk over there, Stephanie, you literally can walk all the way to the spillway.
Is it right where they drilled?
And I think that might be what it is. And I think
Okay.
if the water goes down just a little bit more, I can literally walk around to that other side and we can make a patch to fix it. And David, the guy I was talking to today, he had mentioned that if that is a small place where it's leaking, we can patch it from the outside and move on. But there are no other signs of the spillway leaking right now. except this one little pinhole. And I honestly, I think that the bentonite is probably our best bet, because my phone call into the city, which I haven't heard back from them, but my fear is at the moment, if it is that spillway, the city is talking like we have to hire a, what the hell did they call it? A confined spaces control group or something. So basically we have to hire a company to come out to assess the safety of someone crawling into that. And then we have to hire a police and ambulance and all the different things in case that person gets stuck in there. So that spillway is one of those things that I really don't want to mess with unless it's absolutely necessary. So for me, I feel like talking to the city about where they're dumping water into our pond feels like that's probably one of those things that is causing a leak, as well as potentially the bottom of the pond, which can be fixed by the benzonite or bentonite. So, but if you or Dave, Stephanie, want to walk down there and look at it, I mean, I'd love to pick your brain what you think on it, because I only saw the one spot, and literally it was wet. It wasn't leaking like an active leak. It just was wet where a drip or two would be kind of coming out of it. So
It's not like I expect a lot of rain in the next week or two. So
right. Yep. And I just saw Vic had said there's if there is a hole, it can be epoxy. And you're right, Vic, it can be fixed from either the inside or the outside. I'd prefer the outside, so we're stopping it rather than trying to push material through it. But so that's my only thing, Chuck. I don't know if I don't know that I necessarily want to blow everything on the sign if we've got something like that could come up in the next few years. So
hey, Bruce, I don't mean to cut you off. I've got to cut on out.
Yeah.
Is there anything else from the board for me?
No, I got to go too. I got kids that are screaming and my wife's yelling at them, so I need to probably go relieve her before I get murdered when I go upstairs. So
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Bye.
This was definitely a different year for this. So
Yeah,
Definitely.
it definitely was. So
all right, guys.
thanks, guys, for your flexibility.